Millionaire CEO went to a high-end bridal boutique to buy a dress for his fiancée, then locked eyes with his ex behind the counter, twins in her arms. Hi, my beautiful family. Welcome back to Mr. Peter's Family, your own family story channel. May the Almighty bless every woman with a strength that no challenge can shake, a heart that radiates love, and a spirit that uplifts everyone around her. May every woman in our lives, the daughters who inspire, the sisters who guide, the wives who stand unwavering, and the women who carry the weight of the world silently, feel honored, seen, and endlessly respected. You are the foundation upon which love stands, the quiet power that holds families together, and the light that guides generations. May your homes overflow with peace, your paths shine with opportunity, and your lives be filled with joy beyond measure. May you never feel unvalued, unheard, or unloved. May the world recognize your courage, your patience, your compassion, and your sacrifices that often go unseen. You deserve endless blessings, protection, and love for all that you give without asking in return. If your heart is true, like the video. If your love is real, write, "I am with Mr. Peter. Let's start with love." The champagne tasted like lies. Will Smead stood in the center of Sterling and Grace Bridal Boutique, crystal flute in hand, watching his fiancée twirl in front of a three-way mirror like a woman who'd already won. Erin Burns had that look she always wore when closing a deal, calculating, triumphant, utterly certain of victory. The dress she'd chosen cost more than most people's cars, all ivory silk and hand-sewn pearls that caught the afternoon light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. "What do you think, darling?" Erin's voice had that practiced warmth she used with juries. "The Vera Wang or the Monique L'Huillier?" Will's phone buzzed for the third time in as many minutes. Tokyo. The merger. Numbers that should matter but somehow didn't anymore. He glanced down at the screen, thumb hovering over the answer button, when Autumn Cross, the boutique owner, appeared at his elbow with more champagne he didn't want. "Mr. Smead, your bride is asking for your opinion." Autumn's smile was professional, but her eyes held something else. Pity, maybe, or warning. He looked up, prepared to give whatever answer would end this fastest, and the world stopped. She was kneeling before another bride across the showroom, a pincushion strapped to her wrist like armor, her fingers working silk with the kind of precision that came from years of practice. The afternoon sun hit her profile and Will forgot how to breathe. Bonnie. After all these years. After all the searching, the private investigators, the sleepless nights and unanswered questions, she was here, 20 feet away, alive. Her hair was shorter now, pulled back in a practical twist that exposed the curve of her neck he'd once known by heart. She'd lost weight, too much weight, her collarbones sharp beneath the simple black dress she wore. But it was her. It was unmistakably, impossibly her. As if sensing his stare, Bonnie turned her head. Their eyes met across champagne glasses and wedding gowns and the wreckage of everything they'd been. Her face went white. The pincushion slipped from her wrist, scattering silver pins across Italian marble with tiny, catastrophic sounds. "Bonnie?" The name left his mouth before his brain could stop it, raw and broken and full of every question he'd carried for 6 years. She stood so fast she nearly stumbled, one hand reaching for the dress form beside her like she might fall without it. Her lips parted but no sound came out. She looked at him the way people look at ghosts, with terror and longing and the awful certainty that nothing would ever be the same again. "Will, are you even listening?" Erin's irritation cut through the moment like breaking glass. He couldn't look away from Bonnie, couldn't process the reality of her standing there, real and solid, and utterly transformed from the woman who'd left a note on his pillow and vanished into nothing. Then he heard them. "Mama, River took the red crayon again, and it's not fair." 2 children burst through the door marked "Employees Only," like small, beautiful hurricanes. A girl with wild curls the exact color of Bonnie's, wearing a purple dress that had seen better days. A boy in jeans and a dinosaur shirt, clutching what appeared to be a rock in one hand and the disputed red crayon in the other. Will's heart stopped beating. The girl had his eyes, not similar eyes, his exact eyes. That specific shade of green his mother always said was a Smead family trait passed down through generations. The boy had his jawline, his nose, the stubborn set of his mouth that looked like Will's own reflection from childhood photos. "I use the red crayon for my volcano drawings," the boy argued, his voice carrying that particular brand of 5-year-old indignation that suggested this was an ongoing battle. "You just scribble, Sage." "I don't scribble, River. I make art." The girl, Sage, planted her hands on her hips in a gesture so achingly familiar it hurt. Bonnie used to stand exactly like that when she was winning an argument. Both children stopped mid-fight when they noticed the adults staring. River's eyes, Will's eyes, narrowed with unsettling perception for someone so young. "Mama, why is that man staring at us?" River moved slightly in front of his sister, protective instinct already wired into his small frame. Sage tilted her head, studying Will with unnerving directness. "He has my eyes, Mama. The same green. How come he has my eyes?" The boutique had gone silent. Erin had finally stopped talking, her gaze ping-ponging between Will and the children with dawning suspicion. Autumn had frozen mid-pour, champagne overflowing the glass she'd forgotten she was holding. Bonnie looked like she might shatter. Her hand found Sage's shoulder, pulling her daughter close with barely controlled panic. "Autumn, could you—" "Of course." Autumn moved with practiced efficiency, setting down the champagne and ushering both children toward the back. "Come on, loves. I just got in new coloring books with those fancy markers you like." River resisted, his gaze locked on Will with the kind of intensity that suggested he was memorizing everything, cataloguing it for later analysis. "But Mama, now River, please." Bonnie's voice cracked on the last word. Sage went more easily, but she looked back over her shoulder as Autumn guided them away, her green eyes, Will's eyes, full of curiosity and questions that would eventually demand answers. The door closed behind them with a soft click that sounded like a bomb detonating. Will couldn't move, couldn't think past the roaring in his ears and the impossible truth assembling itself in his mind like a puzzle he'd been trying to solve for 6 years without knowing the picture on the box. Bonnie had been pregnant when she left. Those children, River and Sage, she'd called them, names that meant something he couldn't quite grasp through the shock, were his. Had to be his. The timing, the resemblance, the way Bonnie looked like she might run or collapse or both. "I need to—" Bonnie didn't finish the sentence. She simply turned and fled through the same door her children had disappeared through, moving like a woman escaping a crime scene. "Well," Erin's voice cut through the silence, sharp with the kind of anger she usually reserved for opposing counsel. "That was strange. Who was that woman, Will? And why did you look like you'd seen a ghost?" He couldn't answer. His brain had short-circuited somewhere between seeing Bonnie's face and counting backward from those children's ages to the night she'd vanished. "Will!" Erin snapped her fingers in front of his face. "Are you having some kind of breakdown? You're white as a sheet." I have to—" The words wouldn't form properly. He set down his champagne glass with hands that shook badly enough that Erin noticed, her lawyer instincts clearly screaming that something was very, very wrong. "We're leaving." She grabbed her purse, already moving toward the door. "Clearly you're not well. We'll reschedule the fitting." The drive happened in a blur. Erin talked the entire time about dresses and distractions and wedding plans. Will drove on autopilot, his mind 6 years in the past. He dropped Erin at her building, promised to call later, waited until she disappeared through the revolving doors. Then he circled back. The boutique was closing when he parked across the street. 15 minutes passed. 20. Then the door opened, and Bonnie emerged with River and Sage. The children were arguing again, their voices carrying across the quiet street. River was explaining something about rocks, while Sage insisted that butterflies were more interesting. They had the comfortable rhythm of siblings who fought constantly, but loved fiercely. Bonnie looked exhausted. She wore a coat too thin for November cold, her breath fogging as she knelt between her children, clearly negotiating some kind of truce. They climbed into a Honda that had seen better days, its engine coughing to life with a sound that made Will wince. River helped Sage with her seatbelt despite her protests, and Bonnie sat for a long moment before starting the car, her head bowed like she was gathering strength. Will followed them, kept 3 cars back, watched them stop at a grocery store where Bonnie counted out exact change, watched River carry the single bag like it weighed 100 pounds, small shoulders squared with responsibility no 5-year-old should carry. They lived in a 4th-floor walk-up in a neighborhood that made Will's security instinct scream. Bonnie carried Sage up the stairs while River trudged behind with the groceries, and Will sat watching shadows move behind thin curtains as lights came on. 5 years of their lives, gone, stolen. His phone rang. The investigator he'd used years ago searching for Bonnie. "Marcus, it's Will Smead. I need you to find someone. Again." Will sat in his car until midnight, staring at the 4th-floor window where his children slept, where the woman he'd never stopped loving probably wasn't sleeping, where an entire life he'd been robbed of was happening without him. The investigator would have preliminary information by morning. But Will already knew everything that mattered. Somewhere in that apartment were his son and daughter, River and Sage, named for reasons he didn't understand but desperately wanted to know. And tomorrow, Bonnie Berry was going to tell him exactly why she'd thought he didn't deserve to know they existed. Chapter 2. The investigator's report arrived at dawn. Will hadn't slept. He'd spent the night in his penthouse staring at the note Bonnie had left 6 years ago, 3 sentences he'd memorized during months of desperate searching. "I can't do this. You deserve better. I'm sorry." Now, Marcus's file explained everything those 3 sentences had hidden. Bonnie had fled to Seattle, given birth to twins alone in a charity hospital, worked 2 jobs while raising River and Sage in poverty, spent most of her money on Pearl's cancer treatment and gave the rest to other desperate families. She'd sacrificed everything while he'd built an empire. The timeline was brutal in its clarity. She'd disappeared while he was in Tokyo closing the Singapore deal. He'd promised to be home by the weekend, then extended his trip when complications arose. She'd called, and he'd told her the deal was crucial, just 1 more day. 1 more day had turned into the week she'd vanished. His mother had known. The report included bank records showing a wire transfer from Lenora Smead to Bonnie Berry, $500,000. Payment date matched exactly with Bonnie's disappearance. Will called his mother before he could second-guess himself. "William, to what do I owe this early call? Did you pay Bonnie Berry to leave me?" Silence. Then, "I did what was necessary." The world tilted. "So it's true." "She was pregnant, William. Pregnant and completely unsuitable for the life you were building. The Singapore deal was closing, the IPO was scheduled. A shotgun wedding to an architect would have destroyed everything. So you paid her off. I gave her options. She chose the money. That tells you everything about her character." Will's hand tightened on the phone. "Her mother was dying." "Her mother had cancer, yes. I'm not a monster. I made sure Pearl received excellent care. But the girl needed to understand she wasn't equipped for your world. She was pregnant with my children. Alleged children. You never confirmed paternity. Don't you dare." "I dare because I'm your mother and I protected you. You have a brilliant future. You're engaged to a woman who fits your life. Let the past stay in the past." "I have children, Mother. A son and daughter who I've never met, because you decided I didn't deserve to know they existed. If those children are yours, they're fine. The girl gave them a stable home. No harm done." "No harm? I missed 5 years." You built an empire instead. I'd call that a fair trade." Will hung up without saying goodbye. His phone immediately rang. Rex, his business partner. "Please tell me you're not having some kind of breakdown. Erin called me twice wanting to know where you are." "I found Bonnie." Silence. Then, "You're Bonnie? The one who disappeared?" "She works at the bridal boutique. She has children, twins, 5 years old. They look exactly like me." "Jesus Christ, are you sure they're yours?" "I'm sure." "What are you going to do?" Will looked at the address Marcus had provided, 4th floor walk-up, same building he'd watched them enter last night. "I'm going to talk to her, now." He arrived at Bonnie's building just before midnight, stood outside her door for 20 minutes before finding the courage to knock. Isaiah opened the door, arms crossed, expression hostile. "You've got some nerve showing up here. I need to talk to Bonnie." "She doesn't want to talk to you." "Isaiah, please. I know about River and Sage. I know everything." The door opened wider. Bonnie stood behind her brother in sweatpants and an old t-shirt, looking younger and older at the same time. "Fire escape," she said quietly. "I won't have River and Sage wake up to this." The November wind cut through Will's jacket. Bonnie hugged herself, shaking in her thin sweater. "Why didn't you tell me?" The question came out broken. "Because your mother gave me a choice. Take $500,000 and disappear, or watch my mother die waiting for insurance approval." "That's insane." "Your mother came to my apartment the day after I found out I was pregnant. She knew before you did, and she told me exactly what would happen if I didn't take her offer, that a pregnant girlfriend would destroy your IPO, that investors would flee, that my mother had late-stage cancer and needed treatment she could provide or destroy with a single phone call." "You should have told me." "I called you!" Bonnie's control cracked, voice rising. "I called and you said you'd be home Friday. Then Friday became Saturday. Saturday became Sunday. Sunday became just one more day, babe. This deal is crucial." Meanwhile, my mother was being denied treatment and your mother was threatening to make sure she never got approved. Will grabbed the railing. "I didn't know." "Of course you didn't know. You were too busy building your empire to notice your fiancé was falling apart. So you took the money." "I took the money and saved my mother's life." Bonnie's voice went quiet, deadly calm. "Pearl had 3 months without treatment. Your mother's money got her into the best cancer center within a week. She survived. That was the deal. And our children were the price I paid." She looked at him with something that might have been hate or heartbreak. "Your mother made it very clear. If I told you about the pregnancy, if I contacted you ever again, she'd make sure Pearl's treatment was discontinued. You should have trusted me." "Trusted you?" "Will, you didn't even notice I was pregnant. We spent every day together for 2 weeks after I found out, and you never saw it. You were too distracted, too focused on your deals and meetings. Your mother saw what you couldn't." The accusation landed because it was true. He'd been obsessed with the Singapore deal, with proving himself, with building something that would make his parents proud. "I searched for you. 8 months. I know. Isaiah told me. But by then, I was in Seattle and pregnant and terrified, and your mother had made it clear what would happen if I surfaced. Then I saw the articles, pictures of you with Erin at galas, your company's stock tripling, everyone saying how much better off you were. I wasn't better off. Weren't you? Look at you. Suit that costs more than I make in a month. Getting married to a woman who fits your world perfectly. Your mother was right about one thing. I would have dragged you down. Stop it. It's true. Look at where I am. Look at where you are. I want to know my children. They're not yours to know. You're a stranger. Because you made that choice. I made the only choice I had." Behind them, the apartment door opened. River stood there in dinosaur pajamas, eyes too alert for someone who'd supposedly been sleeping. "Mama, why are you yelling?" His gaze moved to Will, narrowed with perception. And why is he here? Bonnie moved to block Will instinctively. Baby, go back to bed. You're crying. Is he making you cry? I'm fine, River. We're just talking. Adults don't just talk on fire escapes at midnight. I'm not stupid, Mama. No, Will thought. This child was definitely not stupid. River, please. Is he our dad? The question came out matter of fact. He looks like Sage, and me. Same eyes, same face. I'm not dumb. Bonnie looked like she might shatter. Will stepped forward. River moved to block him. Don't come closer. I don't know you. You're right, Will said carefully. You don't know me. But yes, I'm your father. And I just found out about you and Sage today. If I'd known before, I would have been here. River studied him with those green eyes identical to Will's own. Prove it. Prove what? That you would have been here. Adults say lots of things. Prove you mean it. Will had no idea how to prove anything to this fierce child who'd learned early that words were cheap. I can't prove what I would have done, but I can prove what I'll do now. I'll be here, as much as your mother lets me. I'll learn who you are and what you like. I'll show up when I say I will, and I'll never lie to you. River considered this. Mama says the same thing, and she keeps her promises, so I guess we'll see if you do too. He turned to Bonnie. I'm going back to bed, but I'm leaving my door open in case you need me. He disappeared inside. The door closed softly. Bonnie's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the fire escape, head in her hands. He's known, or suspected. Will sat beside her, careful to keep distance. He's protective of you. They both are. They've had to be. She lifted her head. This is what you missed, Will. River analyzing every situation like a threat. Both of them worrying about money. This is what your mother's money bought. Children who grew up too fast. I want to fix it. You can't fix 6 years. I can start now. And what about Erin? Your fiancée? Will thought about the engagement ring, the wedding invitations, the future he'd been sleepwalking toward. I don't know. Figure it out, because I won't let River and Sage be your secret. I'm not asking you to. Then what are you asking? For a chance, to know them, to be their father. He stopped, to maybe find our way back to each other. Bonnie stood abruptly. You need to leave. Bonnie, now, Will, before I say something we'll both regret. He left, but as he reached the stairs, Bonnie called out, Will? He turned. River and Sage go to Maplewood Elementary. Dismissal is at 3. If you want to know them, start there. Show up. Keep showing up. That's how you prove it. Will made it to his car before his phone rang. Erin. He sent it to voicemail. She called again, and again. He finally answered. What? Where have you been? I've been calling for hours. Will looked up at the 4th floor window where his children slept. I need to tell you something. Chapter 3. The penthouse felt like a tomb. Will stood at the windows overlooking the city, watching dawn break over buildings that suddenly felt hollow. Behind him, Erin sat on the couch, coffee growing cold in her hands. She'd been silent for 5 minutes since he'd finished explaining. Let me make sure I understand, she said finally, voice terrifyingly calm. You have 5-year-old twins, with your ex-fiancé, who you found yesterday at my dress fitting. Yes. And you're just telling me now. I just found out myself. You've known for over 24 hours, Will. He had no good answer for that. Erin set down her coffee with careful precision. Are they yours, biologically? I haven't done a test, but yes, they're mine. The timing, the resemblance. So you're assuming. Erin, you saw them. I saw 2 children for 30 seconds. Forgive me for not making paternity judgments based on a glimpse. Will turned to face her. Why are you so calm? Would you prefer I scream? I'm a lawyer, Will. I deal with complications. They're children. My children. Maybe. But until you have proof, they're just claims made by a woman who disappeared on you 6 years ago. Bonnie isn't like that. You clearly didn't know Bonnie very well if she could vanish without a trace. The dismissal made something dangerous coil in Will's chest. Don't talk about her like that. Erin's hands stilled. She turned slowly. Excuse me? You don't know what she went through. What she supposedly went through. According to her, who you haven't seen in 6 years and who might have very good reasons to lie. She's not lying. How do you know? Will, you're being naive. A woman shows up with children who might be yours, spins a tale about being threatened, and you just believe her. My mother is capable of exactly what Bonnie described. Your mother is protective. There's a difference. My mother is controlling and manipulative. Will's voice rose. She picked my schools, my friends, my career. She hated Bonnie from the beginning. I would bet my entire company she did exactly what Bonnie said. Then ask her. Erin crossed her arms. Call your mother right now and ask. Will pulled out his phone, dialed. Lenora answered on the second ring. Did you pay Bonnie Berry to leave me? Silence. Then, I did what was necessary. His world tilted. So it's true. She was pregnant, William, completely unsuitable for your life. I gave her options. She chose the money. Will hung up without saying goodbye. Erin watched him. So she admitted it. She's proud of it. She thinks she did me a favor. In some ways she did. Think about it logically. You were building your company. A surprise pregnancy could have derailed everything. By stealing my children. By making a hard choice so you didn't have to. Erin moved closer. I'm not saying it was right, but I understand it. Will pulled away. You're defending her. I'm trying to be rational, which is more than you're doing. My children were kept from me for 5 years. They've been raised. They don't need you disrupting their lives now. I'm their father, biologically maybe, but you haven't earned the title. Will stared at her, really looked at her. At the woman he'd proposed to, the woman he was supposed to marry in 2 weeks. She stood in their kitchen like they were discussing vacation plans. You don't care. I care about you. No, if you cared, you'd be angry about what my mother did. You'd understand why I need to know my kids. He stopped. You'd react like a human being. Erin's expression went cold. I'm trying to protect you from making a mistake. My life is already changed. I have children I've never met. Only if you let them change it. We can figure out a custody arrangement, visitation, support, but it doesn't have to affect our life. Our life is already affected. Only if you want it to be. She stepped closer. I love you. I'm trying to build a future with you, but I can't compete with some fantasy. If you want those children more than our life together, tell me now. It should have been hard. He was engaged to this woman, had a wedding planned, had promised her a future, but all he could see was River protecting Bonnie, Sage looking at him with his own eyes. 5 years he'd never get back. I need time. Time for what? To figure this out. To meet my kids. To decide if you want to marry me or chase some past that's already gone. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Will. I didn't sign up for instant stepchildren. I signed up to marry you. I know. Do you? Because it seems like you've already made your choice. Will grabbed his jacket. I need to go. Go where? To see my children. Will, it's 7 in the morning. I don't care. I've missed 6 years. I'm not missing another day. If you walk out that door to go to her, we're done. Choose, them or me. Will thought about River's protective stance, Sage's curious eyes, 5 years of bedtimes and birthdays he'd never get back. He thought about Erin's cold calculation, his mother's manipulation, the hollow life he'd been building. The choice wasn't hard at all. I'm sorry, Erin, but this was never going to work. He left before she could respond. taking the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator. Maplewood Elementary was just opening when he arrived. Parents were dropping off kids, everyone moving in early morning rush. Will parked across the street, scanning the crowd. Then he saw them. Bonnie held Sage's hand, while River walked slightly ahead. Sage was singing about butterflies. River was explaining why butterflies were scientifically called Lepidoptera. Bonnie looked exhausted, but was smiling at their chatter. Will got out of his car. Bonnie saw him first. Her smile died. Both children looked over. River's expression cycled through recognition, suspicion, and reluctant curiosity. He crossed the street slowly, hands visible. "What are you doing here?" Bonnie asked, voice low. "I told you, I'm not missing another day." "Will, you can't just show up. Can I walk them in? Please, just today." Bonnie looked like she wanted to refuse. But River spoke first. "You said you'd show up when you said you would. Did you say you'd be here?" "No, I should have asked first. I'm sorry." River considered this. "But you came anyway. Why?" "Because I've missed too much already. Can I walk you into school?" Sage tugged Bonnie's hand. "Mama, is he really our dad?" Bonnie knelt, eye level with her daughter. "Yes, baby, he is." "Then how come he's never been here before?" "That's complicated. We'll talk later, okay?" Sage turned to Will. "Do you know what my favorite color is?" "No, but I'd like to learn." "It's purple, and I like butterflies and singing. River likes rocks, and he's really smart, but sometimes kids make fun of him." "Hey," River protested, "I'm not weird. You brought 17 rocks to show and tell." Will smiled, despite everything. "I used to collect rocks when I was your age." River's head snapped toward him. "Really? What's your favorite?" "Granite, because of the crystals." "Mine too." River's suspicion lessened. "Most people think they're boring, but if you look close—" "River, we're late," Bonnie interrupted gently. The bell rang. River looked torn between continuing and not being late. "Are you going to be here when school ends?" he asked Will. "Do you want me to be?" River shrugged, trying to look casual. "I guess it would be okay." Sage was less subtle. "Can you come to my dance recital Friday? Everyone else has dads." The words hit like bullets. "I would love to come." "Okay," Sage smiled, bright and trusting. "Come on, River." She dragged her brother toward school. River looked back once, expression cautious but curious. They disappeared inside. Will and Bonnie stood alone on the sidewalk. "You can't keep doing this," Bonnie said quietly. "Doing what?" "Showing up unannounced, making promises, getting their hopes up." "I will keep my promises. You don't know that. You have a life, a company, a fiancé. Not anymore. I ended it. This morning, she gave me an ultimatum. I chose my kids." Bonnie's eyes went wide. "Will, you can't just—" "I can. I did. She's wrong for me. She's always been wrong." He stopped. "This is about River and Sage. Don't make this about me. It's about all of us. There is no us, Will. There's you and me and 2 children who need stability. I'm trying to give them stability by blowing up your life, by showing up randomly." Bonnie's voice rose. "They don't need a hero. They need consistency." "I know that. Do you?" "Because River has been disappointed by every adult who wasn't me or Isaiah. If you're going to do this, you have to be all in. Every day. Even the hard days." "I want that. I want all of it." Bonnie searched his face. "You just ended your engagement. You're running on emotion and guilt. What happens when that wears off?" "Then my business waits. My obligations change. I've spent 6 years building things that don't matter. I'm not making that mistake again." "Pretty words." "It's not words. I'll prove it. However long it takes." Bonnie looked like she wanted to believe him but couldn't afford to. "You broke my heart once. I survived. But if you break theirs, I will never forgive you." "I won't." "You can't promise that. But I need you to understand, they're everything to me. If you hurt them, there's no coming back." "I understand." "I hope so." She turned to go, then stopped. Friday, Sage's recital, 3 p.m. Don't be late. Then she was gone, leaving Will standing outside an elementary school where his children were learning and growing without him. His phone rang. His mother. He answered. I heard you left Erin. You heard correctly. William, you're making a mistake. The only mistake I made was listening to you 6 years ago. She wasn't worth fighting for. She raised my children alone while working 2 jobs because of choices you forced her to make. Those children are not confirmed. They're mine, and I'm going to be their father whether you approve or not. There will be consequences. Let there be. I don't care anymore. I lost 6 years because I was too concerned with reputation. I'm not making that mistake again. Will hung up and blocked her number. Then he called Rex. Clear my schedule for the next month. Will, the merger can wait. My kids can't. That afternoon, Will was waiting outside Maplewood when school ended. River emerged with Sage, both carrying backpacks too big for their small frames. They stopped at the top of the steps, looking around. River saw him first, nudged Sage. She looked over, face lighting up. They walked toward him, not running, just cautious and curious, and maybe willing to give him a chance. And Will made himself a promise. He would earn this. Every single day, he would prove he wasn't going anywhere, that he was finally ready to be the father they deserved. Chapter 4. River had questions. He sat in the passenger seat of Will's car. Bonnie had agreed to let Will drive them home as long as she met them there, examining a rock he'd pulled from his pocket. If you wanted to be a geologist, why did you become a CEO? I thought building a company would be more practical. That's what adults say when they give up, River observed. Miss Torres says it's important to pursue your passions. Miss Torres is right. So you gave up your passion. That's sad. Out of the mouths of babes. What kind of rock is that? Quartzite. See the metamorphic banding? Heat and pressure changed it, like how people change when bad stuff happens. Will nearly drove off the road. That's very mature. River shrugged. Mama says hard things make us stronger, like Grandma Pearl's cancer. In the back seat, Sage kicked her feet. Are you coming to my recital Friday? For real? For real? What if you have important business? Nothing is more important than your recital. Really? Really? They arrived at the apartment. Bonnie was waiting outside, arms crossed. Mama! Sage burst out. He said he'd come to my recital. River climbed out slower. We had a good conversation about geology. Bonnie's expression softened watching them, but her guard went back up when she looked at Will. Thank you for the ride. Can I come up? Just for a few minutes? Will, please, I want to see where they live. Pearl appeared in the doorway, leaning on a cane. Let the man come up, Bonnie. The apartment looked different in daylight. Small, worn, but clearly loved. Children's artwork covered every surface. The refrigerator wallpapered in drawings and school papers. A bookshelf overflowed with library books and rocks. It was nothing like Will's penthouse. It was everything a home should be. This is our room, Sage grabbed Will's hand, pulling him down the hallway. I sleep on top and River on bottom. The bedroom was tiny. Bunk beds took up most space. But the walls were covered in art. Sage's butterflies and River's rock drawings. That's my rock collection. River pointed to carefully labeled boxes. I have 47 different specimens. For 20 minutes, Will sat on the floor while River explained the geological significance of every rock. Sage chimed in with observations about pretty colors, which River patiently explained wasn't scientific classification. Bonnie appeared. Homework time. River sighed, but started putting rocks away. Sage scrambled to her bunk. Will followed Bonnie to the living room, where Pearl watched with sharp eyes. So you're the father, Pearl said. Yes, ma'am. You understand what my daughter sacrificed. I'm beginning to. Beginning isn't enough. She gave up her career, her dreams, 6 years working hers. Elf to exhaustion. What do fathers do, Mr. Smead? I'm still learning, but I want to be here. Want isn't the same as will. Those children have learned adults are disappointing. If you're not serious, leave now. I am serious. We'll see. Pearl coughed, the sound rattling. You should know. I'm dying. Again. The cancer came back. I've got maybe a few months. Will's chest tightened. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be useful. Bonnie's going to be dealing with my death while raising 2 5-year-olds and working 2 jobs. If you're going to be in their lives, actually help. I will. Whatever she needs. She needs someone reliable. Can you be that? I'm going to try. Try isn't good enough. They need someone who succeeds. Will's phone rang. Rex. He stepped into the hallway. We have a problem. The board is pushing back on you taking time off. Tell them my priorities have shifted. Will, they're talking about a vote of no confidence. Then they push me out. Are you serious? Completely. I built that company. If they don't want me running it because I'm actually living my life, maybe it's time for new leadership. You're willing to lose everything? I already lost everything that matters once. Not again. Will hung up and went back inside. Bonnie was helping Sage with math while River worked independently. I should go, he said quietly. Okay. Can I come back tomorrow after school? River looked up. We have library day. Can I come with you? River glanced at Bonnie. She hesitated, then nodded. We walk there after school. Meet us there. 3:30? Yes? Sage bounced. Can you help me find butterfly books? I would love to. As Will left, he heard Sage tell Bonnie, I like him, Mama. He listens. That night, Will researched dance recitals. What to bring, where to sit, what to say. He'd been to countless galas, but kindergarten recitals required different preparation. He researched geology books for kids, butterfly guides, the best rock hunting spots. His phone buzzed with messages from his mother, board members, Erin's lawyer. He ignored all of them. The only thing that mattered was being at that library tomorrow at 3:30 and at Sage's recital Friday, and whatever came after. For the first time in 6 years, Will Smead knew exactly where he was supposed to be. Chapter 5. The library was chaos. 20 kindergartners poured through doors with puppy-like enthusiasm, scattering toward different sections. River made a beeline for science. Sage headed straight for butterflies. Will stood near the entrance, feeling out of place in his suit among casual parents. Bonnie was running late from work, so he was flying solo. Mr. Smead, a young woman with kind eyes, appeared. Miss Torres. I'm River and Sage's teacher. They mentioned you might join us. I hope that's okay. Of course, they're great kids. River is brilliant, but struggles socially. Sage is his protector. I'm learning that. River mentioned you wanted to be a geologist. He was very excited. The fact that River had mentioned him at all made Will's chest tight. Dad, Sage appeared, arms full of books. I found 17 about butterflies. Can I get all of them? I think you can only check out 5, but I need 17. Will knelt to her level. How about we check out 5 today, and next week come back for 5 more? Can we come back twice a week? Then I can read more faster. The casual assumption that Will would be regular made something crack open in his chest. If your mama says okay. They spent 15 minutes narrowing selections. Sage had strong opinions about which illustrations were accurate. River appeared with geology books. Did you know some dinosaur fossils have melanosomes preserved? That means we can know what colors they were. I didn't know that. Most people don't. River held up his book. Can you help me check it out? They went to the desk together. River carefully scanned his books, placing each in his backpack with reverence. Will's phone buzzed. A number he didn't recognize. Will Smead. Mr. Smead, this is Paige Hart, Erin Burns's law partner. We need to discuss the dissolution of your engagement. Will stepped away from the children. I don't think we have anything to discuss. On the contrary, Erin has retained me to pursue damages for breach of promise. You publicly humiliated her. She's entitled to compensation. I didn't breach anything, but you made promises, planned a wedding. Her family invested money, and you ended everything because of children you can't even prove are yours. Get to the point. A paternity test. Submit to testing. If they're not yours, you owe Erin compensation. If they are, we can discuss settlement. My alleged children have been fine without you. There's no reason that needs to change. Will watched River help Sage adjust her backpack. Fine. Set it up. Excellent. And Mr. Smead, if you care about those children at all, make this painless for everyone. She hung up. Bonnie arrived 15 minutes later, breathless. I'm sorry, traffic was awful. She stopped, seeing Will with River and Sage. You're here. I said I would be. I know, but she shook her head. Did they find good books? 17 about butterflies, Sage announced. But we could only get 5, so Dad said we'd come back next week. The word Dad hung in the air. First time Sage had called him that. River winced slightly. Bonnie's expression went neutral. Can he come to dinner? Sage asked. Please? Sage, I'm sure he has plans. I don't, Will said. If you'll have me. Bonnie looked trapped. It's just spaghetti. Spaghetti sounds perfect. Dinner was nothing like Will's elegant meals. River set the table with mismatched plates. Sage folded napkins into what she claimed were butterflies. Pearl sat by the window. Isaiah showed up halfway through, suspicious, but sat when River enthusiastically explained melanosomes. The spaghetti was overcooked and the sauce from a jar, but it was the best meal Will had eaten in years. Because River told bad jokes. Because Sage sang between bites. Because Bonnie laughed and the sound was beautiful. After dinner, River showed Will the rock garden on the fire escape. Sage performed a butterfly dance. Isaiah grilled Will about his intentions. You hurt her once, Isaiah said quietly. You hurt her again, and I don't care how rich you are. I'll make you regret it. I don't plan to hurt anyone. Nobody plans to. But you got a whole life those kids don't fit into. I'm changing my life to fit them. We'll see. Will left at 8, after River and Sage were in pajamas. Sage hugged him goodnight. River offered a handshake, which Will took seriously. See you tomorrow at the recital? Sage asked. Absolutely. What color should I look for? Purple. I'm the purple butterfly. Bonnie walked him to the door. In the hallway, she said what she'd been holding back. You can't keep doing this. Doing what? Getting them attached. Playing house. You have a life that doesn't include us. I'm changing my life. For how long? Until it gets hard. I told you, I'm all in. You've been all in for less than a week. You don't know what it's like when Sage has nightmares for a month, when River has meltdowns, when bills are due and there's no money. Then let me help. Let me pay your bills. I don't want your money. Bonnie's voice rose, then dropped. I want to believe you, but I can't afford to trust you, because if you leave, it won't just break my heart. It'll destroy them. I won't leave. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. I'm promising right now. Bonnie shook her head. Take your paternity test. Prove they're yours. Then we'll talk. She went back inside, leaving Will in a hallway that smelled like old carpet. His phone buzzed. Email from Paige Hart with information about the test. Appointment Monday morning. Results in 3 to 5 days. Another email from his assistant. Board meeting confirmed for Tuesday. A text from his mother. We need to talk about the damage you're doing. Will deleted all of it. Then he opened his calendar and added, Sage's recital, 3 p.m. Friday, and Library with River and Sage, 3:30 p.m. Thursday. Everything else could wait. Friday afternoon, Will showed up at Maplewood at 2:30, half an hour early. The gymnasium was filling with parents. He bought purple flowers from a vendor outside. Bonnie arrived at 2:45, with Pearl on her cane and Isaiah uncomfortable in a button-down. She saw Will and something crossed her face. Surprise, maybe hope, she quickly buried. "You're early. I didn't want to risk being late. The purple flowers are a nice touch." The recital was chaos. 25-year-olds in butterfly costumes fluttered with varying coordination. Some forgot steps, some waved at parents, some looked terrified. But Sage was radiant. She knew every step, hit every mark, sang with perfect pitch and complete confidence. She was the purple butterfly, and she was magnificent. Will recorded everything, hands shaking. When it ended and children took bows, Sage scanned the audience until she found them. Her face lit up, seeing Will holding purple flowers. After the show, she ran to him, wings askew, face flushed. Did you see me? I saw you. You were the best butterfly." "Really? Really? You remembered all your steps, and your singing was beautiful." His voice broke. "I'm so proud of you, Sage." She hugged him, small arms around his neck, and Will had to blink back tears. This was what he'd been missing. This simple, perfect moment. River appeared, rolling his eyes. "It was okay, I guess." "You loved it," Sage accused. "I saw you smiling." "Was not." "Were too." Bonnie put a hand on each head. "Both of you, enough. Sage, you did wonderful." Isaiah took photos. Pearl hugged Sage carefully, and Will stood there holding purple flowers, watching his children be loved by the family they'd had while he'd been absent. After everyone left, Will walked them to their car. "Thank you for coming," Bonnie said quietly. "It meant a lot to Sage. It meant everything to me." She studied his face. "You're really doing this?" "I'm really doing this. The paternity test is Monday." "I know. What if—" She stopped. "There's no what if. They're mine. But even if the test somehow said otherwise, I'd still be here. Because they're already mine in every way that matters." Bonnie looked like she wanted to believe him. "We'll see what Monday brings." That night, Will got a call from Lawrence Burns, Erin's father. "You can stop destroying my daughter's life." "What can I do for you, Judge Burns?" "She's humiliated. Her reputation damaged. All because you decided to chase after some woman and her convenient children. Those children are mine. According to who? Some ex-girlfriend who disappeared for 6 years? For all you know, she's running a scam. Get pregnant by some nobody, wait until you're successful, then show up claiming they're yours." That's not what happened, isn't it? Convenient timing. You're about to get married, your company at peak value, and suddenly here she is. The paternity test will prove tests can be falsified. Even if those children are biologically yours, that doesn't mean you owe this woman anything. She kept them from you. That's parental alienation. Illegal. What do you want? I want you to make this right with my daughter. Apologize publicly, give her a settlement, and stop pursuing custody that will drag all of us through the mud. They're my children. Prove it. And when you can't, come back with an apology. I'm not apologizing for finding my kids. Then you're a fool. And fools lose everything. Their companies, their reputations, their futures. Think carefully about what you're willing to sacrifice. Lawrence hung up. Will sat in his car, Judge Burns's words echoing. His phone buzzed. "Rex, please tell me you're sitting down." "Why?" "Because I just got off a call with Paige Hart. She's not just Erin's lawyer, she's her law partner. And according to my source, Erin is drowning in debt. Gambling debt. She's in the hole for close to $1 million. Will's blood went cold. "What?" "I had our forensic accountant pull records. She's been hemorrhaging money for years. She met you 1 month after her biggest loss. 400 grand in a single weekend. She targeted me." "It looks that way. And Will, if Erin gets desperate enough, there's no telling what she'll do." After Rex hung up, Will sat thinking about Judge Burns's threat and Erin's desperation. His phone lit up with a text from Bonnie. River wanted me to tell you he found obsidian at the park. He says it's volcanic glass and wants to show you tomorrow. Will smiled despite everything. I'd love to see it. What time? Library opens at 10. See you there? I'll be there. And he would be, because he'd made a promise to two 5-year-olds who'd learned that adults were disappointing, and he'd be damned if he'd prove them right. Chapter 6. The paternity test took 15 minutes, a swab in each cheek, paperwork signed, results promised in 3 to 5 days. The technician was professional and efficient, treating the whole thing like routine procedure. River had been fascinated. It's DNA testing, right? We learned about DNA in science enrichment. Exactly right, the technician said. So you're comparing our DNA to see if we match? What percentage do fathers and children share? About 50%. 50% from fathers, 50% from mothers. Basic genetics. River looked at Will. Did you know identical twins have 100% the same DNA? I didn't know that. Most people don't. Most people aren't very interested in science. I'm interested in learning about science from you. River's face did that thing where he tried not to smile but couldn't help it. Sage had been less interested in science and more interested in stickers. Can I have the butterfly one? And the dinosaur for River? You can have as many as you want, sweetie. Really? River, we can have as many as we want. By the time they left, both children had approximately 20 stickers decorating their arms like badges. Bonnie looked exhausted. She'd had to take time off work, which meant lost wages. Will wanted to compensate her, but knew she'd refuse. Ice cream? He suggested. Will, you don't have to buy them things every time. I'm not buying them things. I'm suggesting ice cream because it's a nice day and kids like ice cream. I like ice cream, Sage confirmed. Me too. Specifically cookies and cream with extra Oreo pieces, River added. The ice cream shop was crowded. River ordered his cookies and cream with seriousness. Sage wanted chocolate and strawberry mixed together. They found a table outside. River methodically ate his ice cream. Sage got it all over her face within 30 seconds. Sage, napkin, Bonnie reminded automatically. Will watched Bonnie parent. The automatic corrections, the patient repetition, the way she knew without looking when River was getting overwhelmed. 6 years of this. 6 years of moments that built humans from babies. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Paige Hart. We need to talk. Call me. He ignored it. Another buzz. Erin. Paige says you're avoiding her calls. We need to discuss settlement terms. He blocked the number. Bonnie noticed. Everything okay? Just work stuff, nothing important. Will. That tone that suggested she knew he was lying. What's going on? Can we talk later? When? He glanced at River and Sage, absorbed in ice cream. When we have privacy? Bonnie's expression went wary, but she nodded. They finished ice cream. River wanted to go to the park for rocks. Sage wanted to go to the library for new butterfly books. They compromised. Park first, library second. At the park, Will helped River search landscaping rocks while Sage climbed playground equipment singing. Other parents were there, and Will noticed some watching him, probably trying to figure out who he was. That man is staring at you, River observed, following Will's gaze to a dad obviously taking photos with his phone. Some people are curious. About what? How to explain to a 5-year-old that his father was semi-famous? About who I am. You're our dad. That's who you are. River said it matter-of-factly. Will's chest went tight. Yeah, I'm your dad. Then why does it matter who else you are? Out of the mouths of babes. At the library, Sage found new butterfly books. River found a book about volcanoes he insisted Will needed to read. They checked out books. went back to the apartment. Bonnie made grilled cheese while River showed Will his rock identification app, and Sage practiced her butterfly dance. It was so normal, so domestic, so everything Will hadn't known he wanted. After lunch, while kids were occupied with books, Bonnie jerked her head toward the fire escape. "Now, talk." Outside, Bonnie crossed her arms. "What's going on with Erin?" "Her lawyer keeps trying to contact me about settlement terms." "Settlement for what?" "Breach of promise, public humiliation. Her father's a federal judge making noise about damages." Bonnie went very still. "How much?" "I don't know. I haven't engaged." "Will, you can't just ignore a federal judge. Watch me. This isn't a game. If they sue, if this becomes public, it affects River and Sage." "I know that. Do you? Because you're making decisions that impact my children without considering consequences." "Our children. They've been my children for 6 years. You don't get to waltz in and make unilateral decisions. I'm trying to protect them." "By ignoring legal threats?" "That's not protection, that's avoidance," they were shouting. Inside, River appeared at the window, face worried. Bonnie saw him and immediately modulated her voice. "We can't do this here." Will ran his hands through his hair. "I'm sorry, you're right. I should have told you about Erin's lawyer sooner." "Yes, you should have, because anything that threatens you threatens them." "Okay, I'll tell you everything." He took a breath. "Erin's in debt. Serious debt. Gambling. My business partner found out. She apparently targeted me because I have money." Bonnie's eyes went wide. "She what?" "We met 1 month after she lost 400,000 in a single weekend. My forensic accountant thinks she saw me as a way to solve her problems." "And now that you've ended the engagement?" "Now she and her father are threatening to sue unless I pay settlement, and they're questioning whether River and Sage are even mine." "They're yours." "I know they are. But they're demanding the paternity test prove it. And Judge Burns called me, basically threatened to destroy me if I don't make this go away." Bonnie looked sick. "This is my fault. If I hadn't come back—" Don't you dare blame yourself. This is on Erin and her desperation and my mother's manipulation. None of this is your fault. But my children are going to get dragged through it anyway." "Not if I can help it." "How? How are you going to stop a federal judge?" "I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out." Bonnie looked at him with exhausted eyes. "You keep making promises you might not be able to keep." "I keep the ones that matter." "Do you?" "Because you promised to be at the library and you were. You promised to be at Sage's recital and you were. But those are easy promises. The hard ones are what come next, when this gets messy and public and complicated. I'll be there for that too. You've known them for a week, and I already can't imagine my life without them." Bonnie searched his face. "The test results come back in a few days. Then what?" "Then I hire a lawyer. I fight Erin and her father. I protect you and River and Sage." "And if you lose?" "I won't. But if you do?" Will thought about Judge Burns's connections, Erin's desperation. "Then I lose everything else before I lose them." Inside, Sage called out, "Mama, Dad, can we have family movie night?" The word family hung in the air. Bonnie looked like she wanted to correct it, but she didn't. "What do you want to watch, baby?" "The butterfly documentary, the one about monarchs." "Again? We've watched that 7 times." "But it's good, and Dad hasn't seen it." Bonnie looked at Will. "You don't have to stay." "I want to." They watched the documentary. River fell asleep halfway through, head on Will's shoulder. Sage provided commentary on every single fact. Bonnie sat on the other end of the couch, watching her children more than the screen. When it ended, Bonnie carried River to bed, while Will helped Sage into pajamas. She chatted about butterflies and migration, and how she wanted to see a monarch sanctuary someday. "Maybe we can go," Will said, "as a family." "Really? You'd take us? If your mama says okay." Sage hugged him so tight. "You're the best dad ever." He wasn't. He was barely even a dad at all, but he was trying. After the kids were asleep, Will helped Bonnie clean up. They moved around each other carefully. "Thank you for staying," Bonnie said quietly. "Thank you for letting me. River fell asleep on you. He never does that. He doesn't trust easily. What about you?" She looked up. "What about me? Do you trust me?" Bonnie was quiet for a long moment. "I'm trying to. But trust is built. It takes time." "How much time?" "I don't know. Ask me when the test results come back and Erin's lawyer stops calling and your mother stops trying to control everything. It's not novelty. I know you believe that. But you've lived 6 years without them. I've lived 6 years with them. I know how hard it gets. The tantrums and illnesses and nights where you're so tired you can't remember your own name. I know what it costs to be a parent. You're still learning. Then teach me. I am. Tonight, this was teaching you. Boring documentaries and bedtime routines and dishes. This is parenting. I want all of it. We'll see." Will left around 9, walked to his car and found someone waiting. Paige Hart leaned against a black sedan, arms crossed. "You've been avoiding my calls." "I've been busy. Too busy to discuss legal matters that could destroy your reputation." "What do you want?" "I want you to stop being naive. Bonnie Berry is playing you. She disappeared with your children for 6 years, and now she's back because you have money." "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I? I'm a lawyer. I know exactly how these situations play out. Woman gets pregnant. Man is rich. Woman disappears, raises children to be sympathetic. Then she shows up when man's at peak wealth. Custody arrangement, child support, access to his money forever. Bonnie doesn't want my money. Everyone wants money. The question is how much she'll settle for. There's no settlement. Those are my children." "Prove it." "Oh wait, that's what Monday's test is for. And when it comes back showing they're not yours, this whole fantasy collapses. They're mine. We'll see. In the meantime, Erin wants to discuss terms. She's willing to keep this quiet if you're reasonable. I'm not paying her off. Then this gets ugly. Very ugly. And those children you're so desperate to claim, they get dragged through every tabloid, every custody hearing, every public spectacle. Is that what you want for them?" Will's hands clenched. "Get off my car. Make me a reasonable offer. $250,000 to make this go away quietly. Everyone moves on." "No." $500,000? I said no." Paige's expression hardened. "Then you're forcing our hand. We'll see you in court, Mr. Smead, and trust me, you won't like what we find." She got in her car and drove away. Will sat in his car, hands shaking with rage. His phone buzzed. A text from Bonnie. "River wants you to know he's been researching basalt formations. He has questions for you tomorrow." Will smiled despite everything. Whatever legal battles were coming, whatever threats Erin and Paige made, none of it mattered as much as River wanting to share his discoveries. He texted back, "I'd love to hear about them. Library at 10? See you there." And he would be, because he'd made promises to 2 5-year-olds, and he'd be damned if he'd break them now. Chapter 7. The worst day started with a phone call. Will woke to his phone ringing at 6 in the morning, an unknown number. He almost ignored it, then something made him answer. "Mr. Smead, this is Detective Lisa Morgan with the NYPD. We need you to come down to the station regarding some allegations." His blood went cold. "What allegations?" "It would be better if we discuss this in person. Can you come in this morning?" "Not until you tell me what this is about." "We've received a complaint regarding your interactions with 2 minor children, Bonnie Berry's children. We need to verify some information." The world tilted. Someone filed a complaint against me? A concerned citizen raised questions about an adult male with no established custody rights, making contact with minor children. We're legally obligated to investigate. "Those are my children. That's what we need to verify, sir. Can you come in at 9? Will's mind raced. I'll be there. He called Rex immediately. I need a lawyer. Family law. The best you can find. Now. What happened? Someone filed a complaint about me being around River and Sage. Erin or her father has to be. The police want to talk to me this morning. Jesus Christ. Okay, give me 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, Rex called back with a name. Rachel Kim. Best family lawyer in the state. She could meet Will at the police station at 8:30. Will called Bonnie next. She answered on the third ring, voice thick with sleep. Will, it's 6 in the morning. The police called. Someone filed a complaint about me being around River and Sage. Silence. Then, what? A concerned citizen questioned an adult male with no custody rights making contact with minors. They want me to come in for questioning. Oh my God. Bonnie's voice shook. This is Erin, isn't it? Or her father? Has to be. What do we do? I'm meeting with a lawyer at 8:30. But Bonnie, they might contact you too, about my fitness to be around the kids. You are their father. But I don't have legal custody. I don't have anything on paper. Until those paternity results come back, I'm just some guy who's been hanging around your children. This is insane. It's strategic. They're trying to scare me off, make this too complicated and public. What should I tell River and Sage? They're expecting to see you at the library today. Will's chest ached. Tell them I'm dealing with some adult stuff, but I'll be there as soon as I can. Will, I promised them, Bonnie. I'm not breaking that promise unless the police literally prevent me. After he hung up, Will sat in his empty penthouse watching the sun rise over a city that suddenly felt hostile. His phone buzzed constantly, texts from his mother demanding he call her immediately, emails from board members about the situation, missed calls from numbers he didn't recognize. He ignored all of them and focused on getting dressed for what might be the most important conversation of his life. Rachel Kim met him in the lobby of the precinct at 8:25. She was in her 40s, with sharp eyes and an expression that suggested she'd seen every dirty trick in the book and wasn't impressed by any of them. Mr. Smead, I've been briefed on your situation. Before we go in, I need to know, have you done anything inappropriate with those children? No, absolutely not. Have you been alone with them unsupervised? Yes, but their mother knew and approved every time. Good. That's important. The complaint came from an anonymous source, which is already suspicious. My guess is whoever filed this wants to create a paper trail painting you as a threat. Erin Burns or her father? Most likely. But we're going to stick to facts. You're the biological father of these children awaiting paternity confirmation. You've been building a relationship with them, with their mother's full knowledge and consent. You've done nothing illegal or inappropriate. Clear? Clear. The interview took an hour. Detective Morgan was professional but thorough. She asked about every interaction Will had had with River and Sage, every time he'd been alone with them, every conversation with Bonnie. Rachel answered most questions, carefully framing everything in legal terms that made it clear Will had done nothing wrong. Finally, Detective Morgan closed her notebook. Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Smead. We'll be following up with Ms. Berry to confirm your account. In the meantime, I'd suggest you avoid unsupervised contact with the children until the paternity results come back. I have plans to meet them at the library this morning. In a public place with their mother present should be fine, but no more alone time until this is sorted. Am I being charged with anything? No, but the complaint will remain on file. If we receive additional concerns, we'll have to investigate further. Outside the precinct, Rachel turned to Will. This was a warning shot. Whoever filed this wanted you to know they can make your life difficult. They're hoping you'll back off to avoid the hassle. I'm not backing off. Good, but be smart. No more one-on-one time with the kids until you have legal standing. Document every interaction, save every text with Bonnie. If this goes to court, you'll need evidence you've been appropriate and responsible. You think it'll go to court? I think someone with resources is trying very hard to paint you as a problem, and people with resources usually don't stop until they get what they want. Will checked his phone. 9:45. The library opened at 10. I need to go. I promised River and Sage I'd be there. Rachel nodded. Go. Keep your promises. That's what good fathers do. Will arrived at the library at 9:55. Bonnie was already there with River and Sage, both children looking confused and worried. Why are we waiting outside? Sage asked. The library is open. We're waiting for Dad, Bonnie said, voice strained. River's eyes narrowed when he saw Will approaching. You're late. You said 10. I know, I'm sorry. I had to deal with something important. More important than us? The question hit like a bullet. No, nothing is more important than you, but sometimes adult stuff takes longer than we want. River studied him with those two old eyes. Is everything okay? It will be. Inside the library, they went through their usual routine. River to the science section, Sage to butterflies. But there was tension now that hadn't been there before. River kept glancing at Will like he was waiting for him to disappear. Sage was clingy, holding Will's hand tighter than usual. At checkout, River asked, Are you in trouble? Why would you ask that? Because Mama looks worried, and you were late, and you keep checking your phone like you're waiting for bad news. This kid was too perceptive. Some adults are upset that I'm spending time with you and Sage. They're trying to make it difficult. Why? Because they don't think I should be your dad. But you are our dad. I know, but some people think that since I wasn't around before, I shouldn't be around now. River's expression hardened. That's stupid. You didn't know about us. It's not your fault. Thank you for understanding that. I don't understand why adults make things so complicated. If you're our dad and you want to be here and Mama says it's okay, why does anyone else get to decide? That's a very good question, one I'm trying to figure out myself. They checked out books and walked outside. Bonnie pulled Will aside while River and Sage examined their new books on a bench. The police called me, she said quietly. Detective Morgan. She asked about you being alone with them. What did you say? The truth. That you're their father. That I've supervised every interaction. That you've been nothing but appropriate. Her voice shook. Will, they made me feel like I was putting my children in danger by letting you near them. You're not. I know that. But they don't. They have this complaint on file now. And if anything happens, if River falls and breaks his arm or Sage gets sick, they'll be looking at me asking why I let some man with no custody rights around my kids. I'm not some man. Legally, you are. Until those test results come back, you have no rights to them. And even after, it's complicated. We're not married. We don't have a custody agreement. Everything we're doing is informal and based on trust. Then let's make it formal. Let me hire a lawyer. Let's draw up a proper custody agreement. That takes months, and money, and... She stopped. And what if the test comes back and somehow you're not their biological father? I am. But what if you're not? Will looked at River and Sage on the bench. River was reading his volcano book aloud to Sage, who was drawing butterflies in the margins of her book with colored pencils. They looked so perfect together, so whole. Then I hire lawyers anyway, because biology doesn't make family. They're mine, Bonnie. Test or no test, they're mine. Bonnie's eyes filled with tears. You can't promise that. I can. I am. His phone rang. Rachel Kim. I need to take this. He stepped away. Rachel? We have a problem. Paige Hart just filed for an emergency restraining order on behalf of Erin Burns. She's claiming you've been harassing her client and making threats. That's a lie. I know. But she has a hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning. If the judge grants it, you'll be legally barred from contacting Erin or anyone associated with her. How does that affect River and Sage? It doesn't directly. But it's part of a pattern. First the police complaint, now this. They're building a file painting you as unstable and aggressive. What do I do? You show up tomorrow with documentation of every interaction you've had with Erin, every text, every email, every phone call. We prove you haven't harassed anyone. And Will, be prepared for this to get uglier, because they're not playing games anymore. Will hung up and turned to find River standing behind him. You're in trouble, aren't you? River's voice was small. Big trouble. Will knelt down to his level. Some people are trying to make things difficult, but I'm handling it. Are they going to make you go away? No one can make me go away from you, I promise. Adults break promises all the time. I know, but I won't. I swear to you, River, I'm not going anywhere. River searched his face, then nodded slowly. Okay, but if you do go away, it's gonna hurt a lot. So please don't. The simple honesty broke Will's heart. I won't. That night, Will sat in his penthouse going through every text, every email, every interaction he'd had with Erin, creating a timeline, building a defense. His phone buzzed with a text from Bonnie. Sage asked me tonight if you're her real dad or just pretending. I told her you're real. Please don't make me a liar. Will stared at the message for a long time. Then he texted back, I won't, I promise. See you tomorrow at the hearing? Wild horses couldn't keep me away. The hearing was scheduled for 9 in the morning. Will arrived at 8:30 with Rachel and boxes of documentation. Bonnie was already there with Isaiah, both looking ready for war. Erin sat on the other side of the courtroom with Paige and her father, Judge Burns, who wasn't presiding, but whose presence was clearly meant to intimidate. The hearing lasted 2 hours. Paige presented her case, alleged harassing phone calls, threatening behavior, stalking. She had a timeline of Will showing up at Bonnie's apartment, following her children to school, being present at events uninvited. Rachel systematically destroyed every claim. The phone calls were Erin calling him. The threatening behavior was Will refusing to pay her off. The stalking was Will being present in his children's lives, with their mother's full knowledge and consent. The judge was clearly skeptical of Paige's claims. Ms. Hart, it sounds like your client is upset about a broken engagement, not afraid of harassment. Your Honor, Mr. Smead has been erratic and unstable since ending the engagement. His behavior toward my client and his alleged children suggests someone not in control of his faculties. Alleged children? Rachel stood. Your Honor, Mr. Smead is awaiting paternity test results that will confirm he is the biological father of River and Sage Berry. He's been building a relationship with them with their mother's full support. There's nothing erratic or unstable about wanting to know your own children. Unless they're not actually his children, Paige shot back, which we'll know in... She checked her phone. Approximately 3 hours when the lab releases results. Will's heart stopped. The results were coming today. He'd lost track of the timing with everything else happening. The judge looked at both lawyers. I'm not granting a restraining order based on hurt feelings and assumptions. Mr. Smead, you're free to go, but I'd suggest you limit contact with Ms. Burns until emotions cool down. Gladly, Your Honor. They filed out of the courtroom. Paige stopped Will in the hallway. When those results come back negative, this whole house of cards collapses, and we'll be waiting. They won't be negative. We'll see. 3 hours, Mr. Smead. Then everyone knows the truth. Bonnie grabbed Will's hand as Paige walked away. What if she's right? What if somehow... She's not right. They're mine. But Will, they're mine, Bonnie. I know it here. He put his hand on his chest. Test or no test, they're mine. They went to a coffee shop to wait. River and Sage were in school, unaware that their entire future was being decided by lab results. 2 hours and 47 minutes later, Will's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Mr. Smead, this is Dr. Chen from Gen Test Labs. Your paternity test results are ready. Will put the phone on speaker so Bonnie could hear. And? You are confirmed to be the biological father of both River James Berry and Sage Diana Berry. Probability of paternity is 99.9%. Bonnie burst into tears. Will couldn't breathe. Thank you, he managed. Results have been emailed to you. Congratulations, Mr. Smead. Will hung up and pulled Bonnie into his arms. She sobbed against his chest while he held her, both of them shaking. They're mine, he whispered. They're really mine. I knew it. I always knew it. But hearing it, I know. They sat in that coffee shop for another 20 minutes, just holding each other, processing the relief and joy and terror of what came next, because now it was official, now it was real, now Will had legal standing, and now the real fight could begin. His phone rang again. Rachel, I just saw the results. Congratulations. Now let's go establish your rights as a father. What's next? Now we file for custody. And Will, it's going to get ugly. Are you ready? Will looked at Bonnie, her face streaked with tears, but her eyes clear and determined. I'm ready. Chapter 8. Within hours of the paternity results, Paige Hart filed a motion claiming Will's pursuit of custody proved his unstable mental state and demanding psychological evaluation before allowing unsupervised access. Rachel called it pure harassment. They lost paternity, so now they attack your fitness. Can they do that? Will asked. They can file. It adds time, cost, stress. Which is their goal? How long does evaluation take? Bonnie asked. Weeks, maybe months. During that time, Will's access could be restricted to supervised visits only. Will's phone buzzed. His mother. We need to talk about damage control. He deleted it. Rachel slid a document across her desk. Lenora Smead filed for grandparents' rights. Will's blood went cold. What? She claims as their grandmother she's entitled to visitation. She's the reason I didn't know about them. I know. But if she proves a relationship would benefit them, a judge might grant it. Can you prove she threatened Bonnie? Will thought about the wire transfer. Bank records showing she paid Bonnie $500,000. She'll claim it was a gift. Do you have recordings? Written communication? Bonnie shook her head. Everything was verbal. The only paper trail is the contract she made me sign. Do you have a copy? She took it. Rachel sat back. So it's your word against hers. We'll keep digging. Meanwhile, we file our own custody arrangement. Joint custody, Bonnie said quietly. I trust Will. Will's chest tightened. You do? You've shown up every time, been patient, proven yourself. Rachel nodded. Will propose significant time while maintaining stability. That night at dinner, River asked, What about Grandma Lenora? Is she nice? Will chose his words carefully. She made choices that weren't okay. She's trying to be part of your lives when she hasn't earned that right. Like how you had to earn the right by showing up and keeping promises? Exactly. Then she should have to earn it too. Sage was quieter. I don't want to meet someone who made Mama cry. After dinner, Will and Bonnie sat on the fire escape. My mother's petition will probably be granted, Will said quietly. I know. I'm sorry. Her responsibility, not yours. Bonnie pulled her jacket tighter. Where does that leave us, you and me? I don't know what we are yet. But Bonnie, I never stopped loving you. That's not fair. I know. But it's true. I never stopped loving you either. But love wasn't enough 6 years ago. Then we figure out what else we need. Trust, time, whatever it takes. Bonnie smiled, sad and beautiful. Yeah, that's okay. The next weeks blurred with court dates. The evaluation was scheduled. Lenora's petition granted with supervised visitation once monthly. Paige filed motion after motion. But through it all, Will showed up. Every library day, every school event, every bedtime, he watched River win the science fair, watched Sage perform as a monarch butterfly, learned their nightmares, their songs, their fears. He learned to braid Sage's hair, learned which rocks River had, learned what it meant to be a father. and slowly he and Bonnie learned to be partners again. Pearl's health declined rapidly. Everyone knew it was just time. One night, Pearl called Will to the hospital. "You've kept your promises," she said, voice weak. "That's why I'm giving you this." She handed him a USB drive. Recordings from 6 years ago. Of what? Your mother. Threatening me, threatening Bonnie, everything. I recorded her when she came to my hospital room. Will stared at the drive. "This is evidence. Use it. Protect my daughter. Protect my grandchildren." 2 days later, Pearl died. Bonnie held her hand. River and Sage said goodbye earlier, not understanding forever. The funeral was small. Lenora showed up uninvited. Isaiah physically blocked her. "You've done enough. Leave. These are my grandchildren. Who you traumatized? You have no rights here." Will didn't intervene. "You heard Isaiah. Leave." After the funeral, Will told Bonnie about the recordings. "She recorded Lenora?" "Everything. Threats about insurance, all of it. That changes everything. Rachel says we can get the petition denied, get a restraining order. Do it." The recordings detonated Lenora's case. The judge listened. Lenora's cold voice detailing exactly what she'd do if Bonnie didn't disappear. The visitation order was revoked, the restraining order granted. Lenora was barred from contacting River, Sage, or Bonnie. But the cost was Pearl. The woman who'd raised Bonnie, loved River and Sage, saved evidence for 6 years. She was gone. Will held Bonnie while she cried, held River while he tried to understand, held Sage while she asked questions with no answers. And he realized this was family. Not DNA tests, not court orders, but showing up in the hardest moments. The night after Pearl's things were packed, Bonnie found Will on the fire escape. "Thank you for being here, for keeping every promise. I meant every one. I trust you now, really trust you." Will took her hand. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm ready to figure out what comes next, for all of us." They sat together in the cold, hands intertwined, and for the first time in 6 years, the future felt like possibility. Chapter 9. The worst came on a Tuesday at 5 in the morning. Will's phone shattered the silence. Bonnie's voice barely human. "It's Sage, she collapsed, ambulance." "Oh God, Will, she's not waking up." "Which hospital?" "Mercy General. Hurry." He broke every traffic law. Arrived at the emergency entrance to find Bonnie pacing like a caged animal, Isaiah beside her looking shattered. "Where is she?" "They won't let me in. They're running tests." Bonnie grabbed his shirt. "Will, they mentioned leukemia. My baby might have cancer." The word hit like a bullet. "What?" "The fatigue, the bruising, the nosebleeds. The doctor said they're consistent with acute lymphoblastic leukemia." Will moved toward the emergency desk. "I need to see my daughter." The nurse looked up. "Name?" "Sage Berry. She just came in by ambulance." The nurse checked her computer. "Are you listed as next of kin?" "I'm her father." "Are you listed on her medical records as next of kin or emergency contact?" Will froze. He'd never updated Sage's medical records. Never been added officially. "No, but..." "Then I can't give you information or allow you access. HIPAA regulations. You'll need to speak with the mother." "I am speaking with the mother. She's right there." Bonnie appeared beside him. "He's the father. Please just tell us what's happening." "Miss Berry, you can go back. But without proper documentation, Mr. Smead cannot be included in medical discussions or treatment decisions." "That's insane! He's her father." "I understand, but without legal documentation." "The paternity test. We have a paternity test." The nurse's expression didn't change. "Is he listed on the birth certificate?" Bonnie went white. "No, I was going to change it after the custody agreement was finalized. Then legally he's not the father. I'm sorry." Will wanted to flip the desk. "My daughter is back there dying and you're worried about paperwork?" "Sir, please lower your voice or I'll have to call security." Bonnie grabbed Will's arm. "Stop. This isn't helping. She turned to the nurse. Can I at least get an update on her condition? The doctor will come speak with you as soon as they know more. Bonnie was allowed through the double doors. Will was left in the waiting room like a stranger, like he hadn't spent the last months being Sage's father, like he hadn't braided her hair and attended her recitals and promised he'd never leave. None of it mattered, because on paper he was nobody. Isaiah sat beside him. This is bullshit. I should have updated the birth certificate, should have made sure all the legal documents. You've been fighting 10 legal battles at once. You can't think of everything. I should have thought of this. An hour passed, then 2. Bonnie finally emerged, face destroyed. It's all. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Aggressive. They need to start chemotherapy immediately. What did they say about... They wouldn't tell me anything with you there. Said they could only discuss treatment options with legal guardians. I had to step away from you to get information about my own daughter. Will's hands clenched. What do we do? Rachel's filing emergency paperwork to get you added to the birth certificate, but it takes time, days, maybe weeks. We don't have weeks. I know, Bonnie's voice cracked. But until then, you can't make medical decisions, can't even be in the room when doctors brief me. The hospital administrator was very clear. This is Erin or Paige. They must have flagged something with the hospital. It doesn't matter why. It just matters that you're shut out. Dr. Simone Okafor appeared, clipboard in hand. Ms. Berry, we need to discuss treatment options. Can he... Bonnie gestured to Will. Dr. Okafor glanced at Will, then back to Bonnie. I can only discuss medical information with legal guardians, hospital policy. He's her father. Without documentation, I can't include him. I'm sorry. If you'd like to speak privately... Bonnie looked at Will, anguish clear. I'll tell you everything after. I promise. She disappeared with the doctor. Will stood in the hallway, useless. The man who'd built a tech empire couldn't even find out if his daughter was dying. His phone rang. Rachel Kim. I heard. I'm filing emergency motions right now, but Will, this is going to take time we might not have. How long? Best case? 72 hours to get a hearing, then however long it takes the judge to rule. Sage could be dead in 72 hours. I know. I'm sorry. But family law moves slow, even in emergencies. Will hung up and punched the wall hard enough that his knuckles split. A security guard appeared immediately. Sir, you need to calm down. My daughter has cancer and they won't let me see her. I understand you're upset, but if you can't control yourself, I'll have to ask you to leave. Will forced himself to breathe, sat down, bled on the waiting room floor. When Bonnie returned 20 minutes later, her face told him everything before she spoke. Sage needs a bone marrow transplant. The chemo might not be enough. They're testing me, you and River immediately. When? Now. They have a lab tech waiting. The tests took minutes. A swab, blood draw, standard procedure that felt like drowning. Results came back within hours. None of them were matches. Dr. Okafor delivered the news to Bonnie in a consultation room Will wasn't allowed to enter. He watched through the window as Bonnie collapsed into a chair, watched Isaiah hold his sister while she sobbed. When they emerged, Bonnie could barely look at him. They're searching the registry, testing extended family. Your mother, your father, Jade. My mother is barred from contact. This is life or death, Will. The restraining order has medical exceptions. If Lenora's a match, we have to use her. The testing started immediately. Lenora, Grant, Jade. Cousins Will hadn't spoken to in years. No matches. Then Paige Hart called Will directly. I heard about Sage, I'm sorry. What do you want? Erin wants to be tested as a potential donor. Why would she? Just test her, please. They tested Erin. The results came back impossibly fast. Perfect match. 10 out of 10 markers. Dr. Okafor was confused. This level of match typically only occurs in siblings or very close family. Is there any relation? None that I know of. We should run a full genetic panel. This match is statistically unlikely without family connection. The genetic panel took overnight. Will spent those hours in the hospital cafeteria, not allowed in Sage's room, not allowed to know her condition beyond what Bonnie could tell him between doctor consultations. River was brought in once, briefly. He saw his sister through the glass, small and bald from emergency chemo, hooked to machines, and started screaming. Isaiah had to carry him out. Will couldn't even comfort his son, because without legal documentation, he had no rights. The genetic results came back at dawn. Dr. Okafor called Bonnie into another private consultation. Will watched from the hallway as Bonnie's expression cycled through confusion, shock, then absolute rage. When the door opened, Bonnie looked at Will like the world had ended. "Erin is my half-sister." The words made no sense. What? Same father, Lawrence Burns, different mothers. Bonnie's voice was hollow. He had an affair with my mother's sister, Diana. Diana was my biological mother. She died when I was a baby. Pearl raised me. Lawrence never acknowledged me, never supported us. But Erin knew. She's known the entire time. Will's mind raced through implications. When she met me, she knew I was her sister. She knew about you. She knew everything. Bonnie laughed, sharp and broken. We were a game to her. Get close to you, learn about me, wait for the opportunity. When the twins appeared, she had her leverage. Jesus Christ. She targeted her own niece and nephew for money, and now she's the only match who can save Sage's life. The confrontation happened 2 hours later. Erin arrived with Paige, both dressed like they were attending a business meeting, not discussing a child's life. Will and Bonnie met them in the hospital cafeteria. Dr. Okafor was present to explain the medical necessities. "You're Bonnie's sister," Will said flatly. Erin smiled. "Half-sister, barely counts." "You knew when we met." "Paige did excellent research. When she discovered your ex-fiancée was my abandoned half-sister, it seemed like fate." Bonnie was shaking with rage. "You tried to take my children, your own niece and nephew." "Oh, please. Biology doesn't make family. I've never cared about them." "Then why agree to donate?" "Because you need me, desperately." Erin's expression was pure calculation. "And I need money, so let's negotiate." Dr. Okafor interrupted. "Ms. Burns, this is a medical procedure, not a business transaction." "Everything is a business transaction, doctor. And right now, I have something they need. The question is, what's it worth to them?" Will lunged across the table. Security appeared instantly, pulling him back. Bonnie grabbed his arm, tears streaming. "How much?" Bonnie's voice was barely audible. "All legal proceedings dropped. My debts paid, and $2 million, cash. You're extorting us to save a child's life. I'm negotiating fair compensation for a medical procedure. Will taught me that everything has a price." Will wanted to kill her, wanted to refuse, wanted to find any other solution, but Sage was dying, and Erin was the only match. "Fine," he said, "you get your money. But the second that transplant is done, you disappear. Forever. Deal." The transplant was scheduled for 3 days later. Erin milked every moment for publicity, cameras recording her heroic donation, interviews about helping family despite past difficulties. Sage, weak and confused, asked Bonnie, "Why is the mean lady helping me?" "Because sometimes we need things from people we don't like." "I don't want her help." "I know, baby, but she's the only one who can save you." The surgery happened. Erin donated bone marrow while cameras rolled. Will wasn't allowed in the operating room, wasn't allowed in recovery, could only watch through windows as his daughter fought for her life with marrow from a woman who'd tried to destroy their family. The transplant was successful. Sage's body began accepting the marrow. The cancer started retreating. But Sage crashed 5 days later. Septic shock. Her fever spiked to dangerous levels. Dr. Okafor said the next 24 hours were critical. Bonnie called Will from Sage's room. "They're saying I should prepare, that she might not—" She couldn't finish. "I'm coming. They won't let you in. I don't care. That's my daughter. I'm coming." He walked straight past the nurse's desk, past security, into Sage's room where alarms were screaming and doctors were working frantically. "Sir, you need to leave," a nurse tried to stop him. "No." "Sir," Bonnie looked at the nurse. "He stays. I don't care what the paperwork says. He's her father and he stays." The nurse looked at Dr. Okafor, who nodded once. "He can stay." Will moved to Sage's bedside, took her burning hand. "I'm here, sweetheart. Daddy's here." River was brought in despite contamination protocols. He climbed into his sister's bed, held her. "You can't leave me, Sage. You're my best friend. Please don't leave." Sage's eyes fluttered. "River, I'm here. I'm tired. I know, but you have to keep fighting. You promised we'd find the perfect geode together. Remember? Too tired. Please, Sage, please." For 6 hours they held vigil, Will and Bonnie on either side of Sage's bed, River pressed against his sister, all of them begging her to stay, and slowly, impossibly, the fever broke. The infection cleared. Sage Berry decided to live. But the cost was everything. While Sage recovered in quarantine, the world outside the hospital burned. Lenora's empire collapsed. The recordings triggered federal investigations, fraud, bribery, decades of corruption. She was arrested, facing decades in prison. Grant filed for divorce after 35 years, gave prosecutors everything. "I'm done enabling evil." Erin was disbarred, the extortion too public, too vicious to defend. Judge Lawrence Burns resigned before he could be forced out. The revelation that he'd abandoned one daughter and enabled another's crimes destroyed his career. Paige Hart fled, warrants issued. But none of it brought back the 6 weeks of hell, the trauma of watching Sage nearly die, the rage of being shut out because of paperwork, the knowledge that they'd paid $2 million to a monster. 3 weeks after the transplant, Sage was released. Bald, thin, weak, but alive, cancer in remission. River didn't leave her side for days, followed her everywhere, terrified she'd disappear. Will and Bonnie were shattered. The crisis had broken something in both of them, but it had also forged something unbreakable, a partnership tested in fire. The night after Sage came home, Bonnie found Will on the fire escape. "She's going to be okay," Bonnie said. "Not a question, a vow." "Yeah, she is. We almost lost her, but we didn't." Bonnie sat beside him, shoulder to shoulder. "I couldn't have survived this without you." "Yes, you could have. You're the strongest—" "No, don't say that. I'm not strong. I'm just a mother who would burn the world down for her children. But having you there, fighting with me even when they shut you out, it made the unbearable survivable." Will took her hand. "I'm not going anywhere." "I know. I trust that now. Completely." They sat watching the city lights, holding hands, too exhausted for words, but not needing them anymore. The legal battles resolved over the next months. Custody finalized, joint, equal, official. River and Sage splitting time between homes. Will's penthouse renovated with River's rock shelves and Sage's butterfly garden walls. Erin disappeared with her $2 million. Last anyone heard, she was in Vegas. Some people never changed. But Grant did. Freed from Lenora's shadow, he became a grandfather, cautiously, supervised at first. But River liked hearing stories about volcanoes from someone who'd actually studied them. Sage liked that Grandpa Grant brought butterflies for her collection. 6 months after Sage came home, Will picked up River and Sage from school. They argued about whether minerals or insects were more scientifically interesting. "Minerals are the building blocks of the planet," River insisted. "But insects have complex social structures," Sage countered. Will listened, heart full. These were his children. arguing and brilliant and alive. That night, after River and Sage were asleep, Bonnie arrived at the penthouse. She'd never come inside before, always picked the kids up at the door. Now she stood in the living room, looking at photos on the walls, their family built from broken pieces. "My lease is up in 2 months," she said. "I've been thinking about moving. The apartment is too small. Too many memories of Pearl. Too much struggle." "Where are you thinking?" Bonnie turned to face him. "What if we tried something?" "What kind of something?" "What if we tried being a family, really being one? Not split custody and separate homes. What if we just lived together? Raised River and Sage together. We're partners in everything." Will's heart hammered. "Are you asking?" "I'm asking if you want to try. Being us. Really us. What if we mess it up?" "Then we'll survive that too. But I'm more terrified of not trying, of wondering what we could have been." Will pulled her close. "I never stopped loving you." "I know. I never stopped either. Is this real?" "If you want it to be. I want everything. You, River, Sage, forever." Bonnie kissed him, and it felt like coming home after being lost for 6 years. When they pulled apart, both were crying. "We should tell the kids," Will said, "in the morning. Let them sleep." They sat on the couch until dawn, planning their future, where they'd live, how they'd combine their lives, what forever looked like. Because sometimes love wasn't enough. But love plus trust plus showing up in the absolute worst moments. That was everything. Chapter 10. River found the perfect geode 6 months later. He discovered it on a field trip, cracked it open with Will's help, and inside were crystals like frozen starlight. He gave half to Sage without hesitation. "We're a team," he said, matter of fact. "Teams share the good stuff." Sage put her half on the shelf next to her butterfly collection. Her hair had grown back in soft curls, 8 months cancer-free. The doctors said the odds were excellent. Will and Bonnie had moved into a house together, not his penthouse, not her apartment. A new place with a yard where River could hunt rocks and Sage could plant butterflies. They still weren't married. Bonnie wanted to be sure they were choosing each other for the right reasons. Will understood. They had time. River thrived in 2nd grade, 2 years ahead in science. Still awkward, but finding his people, other weird kids who knew too much about geology. Sage dominated 1st grade, star of every performance, making friends with everyone because she treated strangers like best friends, and they usually became exactly that. Grant visited monthly, took River to museums and Sage to butterfly exhibits. He'd never replace Pearl, but he was trying. That counted. Lenora sent letters from prison we'll never read. Maybe someday. Not yet. But none of that mattered as much as this. River and Sage playing in the backyard while Bonnie made dinner and Will helped with homework. The ordinary, beautiful everyday of being a family. "Dad?" River appeared. "Rock hunting this weekend?" "Absolutely. Where?" "Creek near the nature preserve. Might be fossils." "Perfect." Sage appeared behind him. "Can I come?" "Family thing. Everyone comes." "Good. Mama needs to get outside more." River nodded. "Adults forget to take care of themselves." Will smiled. "You're right. We'll all go." That weekend, all 4 went to the creek. River found fossils and extraordinary granite. Sage caught a butterfly, let it go, sang about freedom. Bonnie and Will sat on a blanket watching their children play. "I've been thinking," Bonnie said. "About what?" "That maybe it's time." "Time for what?" She turned to face him. "Time to stop waiting. Time to choose each other officially. Time to tell River and Sage this is forever." Will's breath caught. "Are you?" "I'm ready. If you are." "I've been ready since I saw you in that boutique." "Liar. You've been ready since I left 6 years ago and you realized what you lost." "Fair." They grinned at each other until River noticed. "Why are you being weird?" he called. "We're not being weird." "You're definitely being weird." Sage ran over, covered in mud. "Are you getting married?" Will and Bonnie stared. "How did you?" "You've been looking mushy for 10 minutes." Mama's wearing the special necklace. Dad keeps checking his pocket. Sage crossed her arms. We're 6 and 7, not stupid. River appeared. Is there a ring in your pocket? Will laughed, pulled out the ring he'd carried for months. There might be. Both kids' eyes went wide. Will knelt in front of Bonnie, aware this was the least romantic location possible. Muddy creek, children filthy, knees getting wet. Perfect. Bonnie Berry, I lost you once because I was too stupid to fight for what mattered. I spent 6 years building nothing, then I found you again, and River, and Sage, and I learned what actually matters. You matter, they matter, this matters. He gestured at all of them. This messy, beautiful family. Will you marry me? Bonnie was crying. That was pretty good. Is that a yes? That's a yes. River and Sage screamed, jumped on them. All 4 ended up in mud and tears and laughter. Will slipped the ring on Bonnie's finger. Perfect fit. Does this mean we're really a family now? Sage asked. We were always a family, Bonnie said. This just makes it official. Good. River stood, brushed mud off. Because I was worried you'd be weird about it forever and that would be annoying. Sorry we were weird, Will said. Adults are allowed to be weird, as long as you keep promises. Always. That night, after cleaning mud and eating dinner and putting River and Sage to bed, Will and Bonnie sat on their porch looking at stars. Are you sure? Will asked. Never been more sure. Even after everything? Especially after everything. We survived together. We'll survive whatever comes next together too. I love you. I love you too. Inside, River and Sage slept in rooms filled with rocks and butterflies, loved and safe and whole. For the first time in 6 years, everything was exactly as it should be. The beginning of forever started with a proposal in the mud and 2 people brave enough to try again. Some stories don't end, they just begin better. This was one of those stories. The end